guys are doing great. Thanks to God that I'm able to share and you are able to listen. Now, today's topic is global constants and protocol oriented programming, thinking for just modification, fast modification, and quick modification into entire application, right? So, how, like, if your client is very flexible and he wants to change something into the app frequently, then how you will handle the situation, right? You don't need to go at each page or each places, and just you need to uh, like add statically things there. From these kind of things, if you want to get it out from these things, like you need to use global constants, plus you need to use the protocol oriented programming approach. So how you can just introduce this, that I'll tell you, and you need to remember this every time whenever you will create the projects. As usual, like my course is saying, it is a junior iOS application course, so it have 14 sections. Right now I'm running in section 2, which is Swift basic fundamentals. So programming, in the first section I gave you the software specification, and then in the second, like Swift programming basic fundamentals. Once your base will be very strong, then you can go and jump over there on the project creation, right? So everything will be programmatically, and also I'll train you there how you can just do the drag and drop things due to constraint, with the constraints and with the normal things as well. But these things are quite simple. We need to understand first Swift basic fundamentals. Same like it's a, if you are just going for some exercises and all, and you are just focusing on the circuit and the machine circuit, if you will complete the machine circuit perfectly, then your coach will say to you, you need to go for the free weight, so that you can lift heavy over there. For 100 kg or 110 kg bench press, you need to go for the circuit first, right? So like that, if you want to lift heavy into the programming, into the iOS apps, then you need to learn the Swift basic fundamentals first. So section 2, you need to spend there lots of time, and whatever just I'm explaining, just try to understand all the things very clearly and very nicely. Your all the interview questions and everything will be covered over there, right? So let's start with the Xcode, with the topic which I just introduced today. And congratulations that only few more steps are there to complete this journey. So section 2.2.12 is running. Section 2.2.20, everything will be finished, and then you have one power, which is Swift basic fundamentals power within this section 2, and then you can just approach for the section 3. Thank you so much. Let's start. Global constants and extension used in iOS development. What are global constants and how to define them for entire iOS application, and use extension with global constants, how you can just use them. So two things I'll cover today. So quickly we'll go and create a Xcode playground. As I committed, we'll not create the project first, we'll go for the basic Swift fundamentals, and this is our global constants and extension use. So I'm giving you a technique, by that you can just create your global constants for entire application here only into the playground. Suppose in the source file I created, first you need to understand how you will create a global constant, right? So you can just create a file, global constant, something like that, and in this I will explain you, like if you have lots of things, I'm sorry for my bad drawing, and suppose 3 views are there. This is iPhone 7, X and 12, like that, and so on. In future some more view will come, right? Like that. You want to create a circle here, it will be look like smaller into the smaller device, bigger into the bigger device, and more bigger and more bigger, so on. So it will possible by the percentage basis, if you will give width and height of this particular view as percentage basis, right? So like height and width of the device you need to take, and then you need to decide the percentage width and percentage height of that particular inner view, right? So for this, if I will take a global constant example, then how I can just create a global constant for screen width and height of that particular device width and height at one place, and I can use this entire into the application. I'll tell you. So suppose global constant is there, I can directly create public. I'm using public. Why? Because in this playground you will be not able to access any property if you will not use public. So public let screen width will be there, and it will use your UI kit. So I'm just implementing UI kit. Now you will see UI screen main screen dot bounds dot size dot width will be there, right? So same like that, you can just declare width and height, and you can just replace it with the height. That's all. Now you can use those global constants into your application. And suppose this playground is my application and I want to create a view, then how I will create UI view dot init with frame cgrect dot init 0 0 and screen width percentage basis, right? So what I need to tell to this global constant, like you have screen width, right? So this screen width and height, I'm just gonna use this screen width and height percentage, like I want 30% of the screen width, and generally I prefer to give screen width percentage as height because all the iPhones width are quite similar, not so much difference, but height will be very differently come in iPhone 12 or iPhone 7, whatever you will use. So I prefer like to give the percentage basis height of inner subviews with screen width percentage, right, rather than height percentage. But it is for when you are just you are creating your views without constraints. If you want to learn the constraints, we'll come on this in future. So don't worry about this thing. Everywhere, like lots of things are there, but you need to stick to one thing. So I use this view with the help of these global constants, and I want to give the background color as yellow so that it can appear and we can see this. So quickly, if I will run this, you'll see view came as a yellow and width and height is looking like this, right? Now if I want to make it circle, as I said, then you can say corner radius and whatever width you decided here, right, that you can just give like divide by 2. Then I think it will convert into the circle, right? So this is circle now. Listen, this you created, it's perfectly fine, and this example you created and you used a global constant, right? Screen width and screen height. But is this feasible or any other way to create the global constants? Yes. So what are the ways? We'll discuss. Number 1, so with the mark we'll go and say create constants using struct, right? Number 2 will be your create constants using enum, right? Use caseless. It is called caseless. I'll tell you how. And number 3 will be create constants actually using type extension, right? So with the 3 way you can create extensions, and that should be in your mind, right? As a iOS engineer, and if we are just learning deeply. So first example I'll take from the struct public struct, and I'll use global constant, and I will simply place those values there, right? And you can use static here. What? Static, right? And now it will give you error here, right? So what you need to do, you can just say, hey, listen, I just implemented this screen width and screen height into the global constant, so use global constant and you'll enjoy there, right? Like that. So global constant is now in the form of struct, right? It is a struct right now. Now if first thing you saw there, like we just went with a normal empty thing, nothing was there, then we came up with the struct. Now I will comment this and I'll use this here, the type 2, which is the enum, right? So I'll create enum. Will it work? I need to check. So here we are not producing case. If you don't know about the enum and all, check my previous videos, but still I want to tell you, no cases are available, only static values you give. Enums can hold the functions, cases and properties also, so you can use enum, but it is generally people are using this caseless enum and all, but I don't prefer this. Why? Because they said, like here the healthy arguments is going on with the development. Like what you need to do in the global constant, if you will declare the struct not enum, then what will happen, you will be able to create a constant of this global constant, and which is very filthy approach. If it is a constant, then why we are just able to create the creation of the object? So you can restrict this. In my case, what I'll say, I'll make it private in it and I'll restrict the user, right? And you will be good to go, and you will be not able to create this class, this struct actually, right? Like that you can stop the user. So global initializer is inaccessible. Like that you can just stop the user and you can create the global struct. Why? Because I'm suggesting, because struct is a value type rather than reference type, and in the constant, value type should be very good option, right? Instead of this enum, if you will go and again you will comment this and you will say directly, you will try to create a object, then it will automatically tell you like you can't create the object because this is the enum, right? So global cannot be constructed because it has no accessible initializer, right? That's fine. And also if you will see inside the init, if you will use public init, will it work or not? So public init, if you are creating for this self.init, if you will create, will it work? Yes, it is initializing with itself. And now I will use this g and I'll use the global constant as a caseless enum. Will it work? Yes, it is working. So no sense to create the enum as from my perspective. Like if you will use the struct, which will be the good. Rest, it's your wish. You want to create the enum, you can create constants using type extension. That is the third one, right? So suppose I was just creating this screen width and height constant with the enum and struct you saw. Now what I want to do, I want to create this using the help of extension. Now I know this is a CG float extension. Actually you will go to the width, you will see CG float is there, right? So why should I should not create this actually constant? So from the extension of CG float item, and CG float is nothing, it's a double, right? So you can just create CG float as well, or you can just create the double as well. Why I'm saying this, you will jump on this definition of CG float. Internally it's a double, right? So CG float extension you created like this, and you can, in the extension you can create those properties, right? So now how you will use, you'll use like this: CG float and screen width, and CG float and screen width, and it's looking very good, right? So better, like if you can use, you can, for the advanced understanding and for the better code visualization, you can use this extension, type extension, create the constant with the type extension, right? So that is the thing. Like that, 3 ways I just explained you how you can create the constants, right? Now what you need to understand is you can just use these global constants. Yeah, the last thing I want to tell you, like if something is there, like big list of constants are there, then preferably you can go with the struct, this case, and these are the global constant name, but it will not appropriate if you are creating some UI components, like you want to change the UI view background color for entire application, then you will say UI view constants, right? You will look like UI view constant, like that, not as, it should not be as, because you are just creating constants for UI view, right? So view constant, you need to create the properties belongs to this actually view only, right? So the background color of the view will be my something like UI color will be my yellow color. That's all. Now this is the UI view constant, and you can categorize and define things like UI view constant and then UI label constants, like that, right? And UI text field constants, and so on. So it will be look beautiful and well managed, right? And if you want, you can just create a big the struct file, and you can just create those objects, or if you want to separately want to go, you can just create separate struct for each constant list of each UI object, right? Like that you can just categorize. Now this you all understood about how you can just create the constants, global constants into the Swift, all the way I just explained you. Now listen here, how you will use them, that also you understood. So you can just create actually screen width. For the screen width and height, you need to do this CG float constant, and like that, or you can just remove this thing and you can use the last one, which will give you screen width and height. Now what I want to tell you is UI view constant will give me the background color, which will be the yellow. Now I created views like this, but what will happen if I will create view 2 and view 3 and so on, right? Now you will see I created 4 views here in front of you like this, and I want to change their color in like seconds. Then you can just go and just change those colors within a seconds, because you are using UI view constant dot background color, UI view constant dot background color, and like that, right? So if you will just run this and just see the result, you will see all the places something will come like this. I'm sorry, Yeah, and I don't want this one. I want the last result and last result of the view which I'm just creating. Simple, right? So all R belongs to yellow color. Now what I need to do is I want to change them, and client said like change them from yellow to uh, blue color. Then it will be the blue color within a seconds, right? So it's very fast and everything will be into the blue color. But what you need to understand is now how you will use the extension into the Swift. I want to tell you how you will introduce the protocol oriented programming which you learned in the last session. Static learning is very dangerous, but if you are using it, it's very good thing. So we should learn to practice the protocol oriented programming into the our real projects. So suppose you have 4 views. Now 4 views have background color which is blue. Now clients want existing things should not break, but one thing can change, and please change it from blue to cyan color or in any other color, but existing things should not be changed. So this frequent quick change, how you will do? So like that, if you want to change something, then this approach, creating this approach of views, it's entirely bad, because you will go and scratch your mind that I need to change at lots of places, right? Or I need to see somewhere, like I need to go and just change there, and then he'll say again like at 5 places more, like 1000 views are there, 50 views you need to change somewhere, right? So you need to create some category, right? Belongs to some category, you can just create and you can use. You can think the protocol oriented programming like top to down approach. So you can just see everything from top, and you can just check everything, what can be the possible ways over there, which can come into my path, right? So protocol, I'll create a custom view, and this view will be responsible to create my view, whatever view will be there. And getter and setter, you need to set get set. It can be gettable and settable. Wherever custom view you will introduce this protocol, it will introduce there. Now I will hold the setting the bg color from their side. I'm just taking the control at extension side, right? So set bg color function is there and view is there. Now I will introduce this to my views, right? So view 1 will be there, and it will introduce my custom view, and this will be my custom view, and so on. So view 2, view 3, and view 4. So like you will, if you will introduce them, then they will give you error, right? What error? They will give you stub error, and they will tell, hey, add the stubs, those are available into custom view. So first you need to create the view, and then you need to set the background color. So this function I'm telling to my protocol, hey, please listen and use the extension of custom view and just make your function over there. I don't want to give the set background color to my other views, because they are already loaded with lots of functionality and features. So why should I go and just create lots of things, and I should not disturb this view one, right, for this setting of the bg color. So now what I will do, I will create here, and I'll combine my view dot background color to my I will combine the extension plus global constant power here, and you can see like UI view extension, UI view constant will be there, and the background color will set like this. So code is looking very simple, It's simple things are generally we need to create, uh, and it will take lots of time, but yes, they will be fantastic at the end. So now custom view you created. Now what you need to do, you need to create init, and you need to ignite this view, because you need to give to life to this view. So UI view and dot init, and whatever you were creating, like that, cgrect init 00, and what was your extension type, screen width percentage of 0.30, right? So this was the thing, and you just added this view here, and you're calling self dot set bg color, right? Because this is a custom view function. So this whole thing can be go at every view which is belongs to the custom view. Nothing you need to do any other rocket science. You can just paste this, right? So now once you will create the v1 object, it will be it will be your view1 object, and so on. You will create 4 views object, right? Those objects you created 2, 3 and 4. Now once you will run this, whether my things will come same which I just explained, and we'll see what is the result over there, right? Quickly it started. Can you see the same thing is coming? Don't worry about this thing. You will select this thing and you will just extract this like that, because it is giving you the view information also. That's why it's looking like that. So it's the same thing, right? Now you will remove all the garbage thing. It's not a garbage, it was a previous experience which we learned, and how you can just get it out from this, and how you can just create a protocol oriented approach. You created view extension, you set it up here. The set background color you are just using with the extension use case. View 1, view 2, view 3, view 4 you created like this. But listen, here also if client came, and as I expected, he said like only last thing should be from blue to yellow or cyan or whatever color is there, but rest thing should not disturb. Then how you will convert this? You'll use you don't need to give to the view 4 and just give the color there. You took the control, so the set of protocol. So you thought like that, I will set the color through the protocol oriented approach, and the protocol oriented approach will be defined for the background color of my custom views. Then extension power you will use here, custom view where self, that means me, the protocol is, if it is a struct, then you need to use equals to, because it's a value type, right? And you need to use view 4. If I will be the view 4, right, then my background color should be some different rather than this. So I'll give yellow color, and nothing you need to do, nothing you need to change, and you will run this within a second. Existing things will not break, and your last thing will be converted to yellow. So that is the power actually you need to learn and you need to understand. Now if you will see, if I will use here rather than equals to, I'll use this one, it will give you error. Why? Because it is saying type self constraints to non-protocol non-class type, right? It belongs to inheritance, and inheritance is restricted by the struct. So what you will use, classes instead of struct, and which is reference type. You don't know about reference type and value type, go and just check my previous videos deeply. I just created for freshers only. So then you will run this, it will give you no issues because it is inheriting now. Extension is working for as an inheritance concept, right? But it will be the good if it will be a value type. So I'll again go and just convert them struct. So you understood how extension will work, where and self clause will work with the struct and the class differently, right? So like this, you can just kill two birds with one stone. You can make the things existing and things should not break, and new things can come and we can adopt them quickly and in very fast style, so our clients can happy, our project will be in good quality, and our code will be also good, and programming life will be also easier. So like that, you can just use protocol oriented programming for setting some global constants. Inside this you can practice it, and if you will just if you will see this code only, then you can just abuse me like, yeah, what is the sense of this custom view and why he is creating this protocol and like that. But no, if you want to go for well organized way, then you can just create the things like that, so that you need to change here only, and you can just everything will be reflect over there and existing things will not break, and like that you can just use protocol oriented programming in your system, right? So I tried my best to explain you, so you covered these topics and you can use these weapons into your programming whenever you will go and just create into in future. So just understand those things and just utilize those weapons into your real programming. When we will jump over there, I'll give you the chance on the project creation, what are global constants and how to define them for entire iOS application that you learn. Three ways are there. One is struct, through struct. Second is through enum, caseless enum, and third is your extension type global constants, right? So that all you learn. And one more thing is into your pocket, like how you can use POP approach with global constants and flexible modification into iOS application, right? I hopefully like you enjoyed this whole session. Hope you understood the protocol oriented programming approach and the global constants. If you really like this, then please share it with whom those are really interested in iOS application development and they want to come inside this with quality development, right? So we can just uh, we need to go slow, speed will automatically come, and at the end of section 14 you will be the champion. Thank you so much for watching this again.